Welcome back to Simplicity for Agility. Join me for a cup of cutting chai while I share with you my thoughts on metrics which matter most. As always, these thoughts are from my perspective and from my context. And my context is mostly building software products, particularly SaaS software products. As always, context is very important for almost everything in life. A player who can catch a ball can turn around a match and even may become a match winner. Another player who does the same thing can be penalized, even can be thrown out of the match by the referee, because the context is different. So while I'm talking about metrics which matter most, maybe the right title would be metrics which matter most to us. I have heard many metrics from many friends of mine, and recently I was mostly passive participant in a group chat where I came to know metrics like happiness index, number of stories rejected from the product owner, velocity, time spent on non-dev work, etc., etc., etc. None of these metrics is from my list of metrics which matter most. I use just 3 metrics. Before I tell you those 3 metrics, let me tell you who is the audience, who are the user for these 3 metrics. Generally, these are the responsibilities or the profiles which are very prominent in the business of software product building, and maybe few others also, which are primarily for acquisition, etc. Today, I am going to consider metrics which matter most to these 4 responsibility holders. Let me also tell you what are the questions these metrics help us to answer. Are we shipping enough? Which means, are we shipping enough value? Whether the customers and the market perceive it as the right value. And the third is, are we building it right? In the sense, are we maintaining quality? So these are the 3 metrics. One may ask, why only 3? And the answer is, by adding more and more metrics, we don't prefer to dilute the focus. Let me tell you about the first matrix, which is the quantity of value we are shipping. When I say shipping, it is shipped in last week or month, or maybe last 3 months, 4 months, quarter. Again, it depends solely on the context. Why the quantity of value shipped is so important? Because it is the best leading indicator for the customer happiness and hence the potential business growth. If we are going to treat the quantity of value so critically, it is also very important, how do we know what is the value of the work which we are about to undertake? Generally, product owners and product managers use these things to gauge the value of the work which we are going to undertake. But all said and done, the value is not something which we can measure accurately. Value is always an educated guess. And this is how we track what is the quantity of value we have shipped. As you can see here, we are talking about business value points in 3 buckets. What are the demanded value points? Typically demanded means demanded by the product owner. How much of that is developed and how much is actually shipped to the production server. We can track these business value points in a time window of 8 weeks, etc. It makes more sense for a software product business to track it in weeks or sometimes even in months. I'm just showing you in days to make the example much clearer. We can also track it in the absolute trend or the cumulative trend. Right now, this graph shows the absolute trend. So for 23rd August, this is the picture. About 250 business value points demanded. About 450 have been completed and developed. And a small release is shipped, it seems, about just 100 business value points. And for example, on 26th August, very little additional value points are demanded and about 100 value points are developed. Let's understand one thing. What really matters to the market and the customer base is what we have shipped and nothing else. And if this is what matters to market, this is what should matter to our organization also. You may also track the business value in some another dimension, like how much it is still pending in the backlog and so on and so forth. That was about the most leading indicator which can help us to gauge the potential business growth. Let me share my thoughts on market perception of the value which we are shipping. This helps us to check whether we need to do some course correction or we are on the right path. As we all know, the market is the biggest stakeholder, and shorter the feedback loop, better it is. There are also many theories like PDCA, etc., which help us to decide how we will do this feedback loop. If we are lucky, you will get feedback and it will be in some Excel sheet, or if you are not lucky, maybe it will be still lying in the email or maybe even a phone call. The tricky business is how do we get feedback which is seen by everybody in the team, right from the product owner to developer to tester and all. The more tricky business is how do we turn this feedback into a matrix. This is how we try to do that. This is user stories, a listing of user stories. Out of that, one story is partially developed and done, about, as the bullet graph shows, it is about 60% done. The story is sliced into 8 slices and 5 of them are done and shipped. It also shows that some feedback, voice of customer, has been obtained. And let us see what is the voice of feedback of this particular user story. We get voice of customer in 2 flavors. One is the idea, which means we can, even before building the user story, we can draw sketches or low fidelity mockups and treat it as idea and get feedback from customers, prospects, market. Another way, another flavor of voice of customer is partially developed features. So here we are seeing there are 2 ideas on which we have got feedback, and it is 6 and 7. And this is on the scale of -9 to +9. So the votes for idea 139 is 9 votes, and the average score on this idea is 6. There are 6 votes for this partially developed feature, 128, and the average score is 4. As long as your voice of customer feedback looks something like this, you will get a good confidence. If you get feedback like this, there is time for some course correction. And earlier you get this feedback, better it is. If we are so particular about gathering voice of customer, we should also know where we have not got it yet. And highlighting that is also equally important. So that was about how to track the voice of customer as a metric, which is going to help us to do some course correction in the earlier. We know that both of these, the quantity of value and the feedback on the value, is important. But in the earlier phase of a product life cycle, the voice of customer is bit more than the actual quantity of value. This is one thing which will help us not to enter into that feature trap. The last is quality. Theoretically speaking, it is impossible to measure quality, but it is very easy to measure lack of quality, and that is by counting the defects and the trend of the defects. This is also a best leading indicator because it will help us to gauge the potential business loss. And this is how we do that. This is the quality tab of the information radiator. The number of bugs which are not shipped yet, the bug fixes which are not shipped yet, and hence can be called as the open bugs, at the end of day or end of week, whatever, is the best number to track as far as quality of a product is concerned. Also the trend. So this is how the trend of open bugs looks for this particular product. Not only the some number of the bugs, but bucketizing those in blocker, major and minor is also very important. If the number of open bugs is so crucial to track the quality, it is also crucial to catch them as early as possible. And this is how the QC effectiveness helps us. A bug which is caught while building is far cheaper to fix rather than a bug which is caught after delivery. A bug which is reported by customer is far more dangerous because it is going to build a bad reputation. It also helps to check how the test cases are being built and how many of them are executed. So that was the brief about the most crucial 3 metrics. Hope you enjoyed your cutting chai as much as I enjoyed sharing my thoughts on metrics which matter most to us. If you have some different thoughts, or if you want to share your thoughts with me, I will be very happy to hear from you. Stay safe and have a great day ahead.